there was always people really into it, and the people that were into it were into it. And we even say nowadays, we got a new slogan, and it's kind of like, fuck me, fight me, or take a picture. That's kind of how it's been. You either like me, or you fucking want to beat me up. You want to take a picture, or fuck me. And back then it was, you know, I sold records out of my basement. I'd drive around to Cleveland, Ohio, Detroit here, and I'd sell records out of my car, and I sold 14,000 records doing this with nothing. This was before the internet or anything. And people loved it. And when I'd play concerts in Detroit, I'd get a couple thousand kids there, and I'd sell more T-shirts than the national acts were coming through, Bay acts. And I always knew there was something there. And I just felt like I was better than everybody else. So my mom used to say, she's like, you know, because I wasn't so good in school, and I didn't go to school, and she's like, you need something to fall back on. I was like, I got it. My ass. If this don't work, I'm fucked. We sold a lot of copies, 14,000, 15,000 records. It was doing good. And we decided it was, you know, really time to take the next step. I was going to give a major label a shot again. When at this point I was like, I wanted to go the hip hop route and just sell records independently and do my own thing. The money was pretty good. You know, I don't know, 14,000 records. My dad, I borrowed like $6,000 from, and I bankrolled into like $180,000 in like 8 months, 9 months. I was like, this is all right. I might do this. And then we were like, well, you know, independently I can be here, but I need a company because I want to be here. And so we invited every label out, and the only ones that showed up was Atlantic Records. They thought it was nuts. I had a little guy in the group, Joe C. We did a showcase show in New York, and we brought him out on a pony with an electric light-up suit, like the Electric Horseman. And he's like, I'm 3'9" with a 10-foot dick. And I'm like, we're laughing. I'm joking around, and like the record company's like, are you fucking kidding me? Who signed this kid? We were sponsored by Burger King. They bought us Puma tracksuits and shoes, and we used to move the salad bar out on Sundays and go and dance and get free hamburgers and just contests. And then I started to work for a DJ. I would carry all his equipment when I was 12 years old or something. I'd carry all his equipment. And I thought it was cool because I'd get to go to weddings and drink beer and hang out. And then from there, I started messing around with his turntables, and then I would record rap songs and all sorts of other stuff. So, well, Kid Rock started when I spent a lot of my informative years, for lack of a better term, in the ghetto. Just, you know, I came from a middle-class family, nice family, and I just, something about it, you know, I was there DJing parties, basement parties, cabaret parties, and whatnot, and no one really knew my name, especially the kids in the hoods. So I'd come riding through or walk around, and people only knew me as the little white kid that could rock the turntable. Yeah, it was important for me to put together a band that I knew with hip-hop you could only go so far because you were limited with the progressions of live music and playing, and that blues music and that soul music and country and rock and roll that I loved. It was very hard to incorporate it with you know, just being a DJ, and I grew up a DJ, but I also played instruments, so it was important to me to put together a band that was as diverse as anything ever created. You know, to have a metal guitar player, to have somebody who can pick and play country, to have a drummer that's very versatile, and background singers and horns, so we'd have the freedom musically to do whatever we want. And that's the foundation of the band. It's always been for me. I opened a show for them in Inkster, Michigan years ago, and once again, I was the only white kid in the place. This and the other, I went on stage and got a great reaction from the crowd, and their DJ, whose name was D Nice, he called Jive Records, and I was trying to get a record deal at the time through some really shady drug dealers in Detroit I used to work with, and they were submitting tapes, and you know, nobody wanted to hear it, and he called Jive, and he was like, man, there's this little white kid on stage that's got this whole place going. All summer long came a friend of mine who I've worked with for a lot of years, brought over Werewolves of London. The intro piano looped up over kind of a hip-hop beat, and I used to hate going to clubs because I can't stand this all night. Drives me up a wall. So, being a DJ, I started seeing this going on in the clubs. They started doing these mashups where you hear these great classic rock songs paired with hip-hop beats. It was cool because you hear these great old songs and people could dance to them, so I was like, all right, I can deal with this. So he brought this over, looped up, and I was thinking about that. And I started humming Take the Money and Run Steve Miller, which is the same chord, same progression. Sweet Home Alabama, which I used in the song, obviously. And then I go, as a songwriter and a musician, also a DJ, and having a hip-hop background, I go, I wonder if I could mash these two songs up and then write an original melody and lyric over the top of 2 classic records. I mean, that's like you don't play with fire, as they say, you know. You don't pull on Superman's cape, you don't spit into the wind, you know, as Jim Croce would say. Yeah, like fucking with Sweet Home Alabama, you're fucking with sacred shit. That's like, I'm gonna make Back in Black better. It's like, whoa, slow down. But when I started to pair it together and write the song, I was like, there's something new here. And I knew the shit I would get. People would be like, it's Sweet Home Alabama, it's Where Was London? Then why didn't you do it? I wrote an original lyric and melody over the top of it, and if it wouldn't have been something new and fresh and original, I don't think that Warren Zevon's family, his son and his estate, would have let me use it. Leonard Skinner wouldn't have let me use it, and we all split it up in a third for each other, so it kind of summed it all up. Trying to find a song, like I don't know how to dress some days, because some days I want to be hip-hop, other days I want to be country, rock and roll, and you know, I always say that, you know, like, it's always kind of a joke. We're saying when we're doing a show and I'm doing my big tours in America, like, what do I wear? Because it doesn't look right singing old school hip hop and cowboy boots. And it doesn't look right singing country songs with my saggy pants and hat on backwards. And this is kind of with music, so to sum it all up was kind of really in this song, because it has traces of everything, of rock and roll, of country, and the beats being hip hop and the overall attitude. I was really into, you know, I got blown by hip hop when I was young, which hip hop, if you really analyze, is the blues music of my day and age. Jazz and blues music influenced popular culture in every music form, touched every corner of the earth. And when hip hop came along, I was really very fortunate to be into it. It's touched everything in the same way. There's never been a musical or an art form that's touched popular culture like blues music or hip hop music. So to have both those backgrounds was really, you know, the people I looked up to, whether it's Bob Seger, Leonard Skinner, Bruce Springsteen, Tom Petty, whoever they are, they all had the blues background, you know, in music. I mean, the Rolling Stones, you know, they wanted to be Motown artists. My mom had a stereo where you turned it on here and had a turntable on top. I used to cut out pieces of felt and I'd sit there and scratch records. Wah, 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 wah. We had a guitar in the house and a piano, and you know, they'd try to get me to go to piano lessons. I used to hide in the closet. I didn't want to go because I didn't want to learn, you know, like bum 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 bum. I want bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba 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 ba. You know, I want a boogie woogie. So it was just, I don't know, it was just you know, why do we all like music? It was something that was in my soul, and like John Lee Hooker said, it's in them and it's got to come out. It was like a party that hasn't stopped. Everything I hoped it would be. Yeah, my thing, as much as I bitch about music and critics and this, that, and the other, my thing has never been to prove the critics wrong. My thing has always been to prove my fans right. That's where I sit. So it was like the people that believed here and knew that something was going on, just like I knew in my heart. I mean, I always say in my records, I say, if it looks good, you'll see it. If it sounds good, you'll hear it. If it's marketed right, you'll buy it. But if it's real, you'll feel it. See, I kind of touched on it on the first record, and even all my early stuff. I don't know if anyone really picked it up, you know, with Only God Knows Why, Cowboy. You know, we're chicken picking in there and playing all sorts of stuff. But it's sometimes, if you're not looking for it, it's hard to find the traces of it. I mean, you hear Beatles records and Stones records. There's country and blues traces all over those things, which is why I think they're some of the best records in the world when you really start to pick them apart and analyze them. But most people don't have time to do that. They just want to hear a song and make it feel good. So it was always something I was doing, but, you know, with Cocky, yes, it was just a little bit more just where I was at the time musically, and I got some lap steel guitars and some banjos and things, and was picking on them, and it kind of just felt, you know, what I wanted to do musically at the time. I like to live every day like it's my last, live it to the fullest. You know, the cliches everyone says, but it's so true. We're here so short, and I want to, you know, I was raising my son. I'd made money. I'd worked so hard for so many years. You know, I just didn't pop up overnight. I worked my ass off for everything I got. So when I finally made some money and really had the money in the bank and got a chance to look back and reflect, I was like, let's enjoy some of this money. And I don't want to be 50 or 60 years old and retire and like, oh, and then let's go to Florida and get a vacation home. I was like, let's have fun now with all this money. And I did. It was just, you know, with everything that went on with me and my extracurricular activities, for lack of a better word, you know, it was starting to turn into this tabloid shit, and I was like, and I sat back one day and I was like, man, what are you doing? I was like, what do you really love? You know, outside your family and my son, I was like, I love music. That's what I love. That's my passion. Make music. Do it the best you can. Quit fucking around. So I got focused again. And there was pressure, you know, because it was starting to go the other way. And I'm like, let me do what I love. Let me make a great record. Let me write good songs. Let me resonate with people. Put me in front of the people. People have joked, and it's kind of made a lot of sense that I'm the bastard child of Run DMC and Aerosmith. So to have them both on the stage, you know, performing those great songs, you know, of theirs, and throwing one of mine in the middle too, was just very humbling and very just, you know, it just felt right. It was like, you know, it's like I've been preparing for this my whole life, and I got let out of a cage. It's like, I'll handle it. The only thing I'm missing is more great songs, which I think everyone who's ever played music will say, or I don't know if they'll admit to, but I admit I need more great songs. I got a handful of great songs. I need arms full. I want arms full of great songs that resonate with people. Couldn't give the record away. I just wanted to scream at everyone and go, what are you, fucking stupid? Like, this record's great. Like, what aren't you listening to? And I knew that that was the case, because when critics would review it, they'd be like, this is horrible, and someone would be like, this is genius. There's no in between. Like, it's okay. I don't like okay. Just doing the working the system of the record company of let's get a single played on the radio and do that never worked for me. But when I got to the people, that worked. When I got to talk to people, when I got to play live for them, when I got to be in front of the people, is what separated everything. And then it started to take off and grow into a snowball that they couldn't stop. When I wrote the first verse of Picture years ago, I remember being on a tour bus too, and there was some other bands there, and I go and I picked and I played and I just had the first verse. I was like, that's a hit. I was like, I don't know what you guys are thinking right now. I've always been pretty confident. I was like, that's a hit. And I knew, and then when Cheryl came and did it, and I finished writing it and everything, when we made the song, I was sitting there and told Cheryl, I go, that's a #1 record. I went and laminated the lyrics, because I knew that they'd make somebody some money someday or be like something. I went and laminated them. After I wrote it, I was like, throw those in the vault, because that's a monster. We put the record out ourselves. We had to go around them and go to the people. So we begged a couple radio stations in like down south, it might have been in North Carolina or somewhere, and we got them to spin the record. As soon as they spun it, wildfire. I'd never had a friend, you know, I had a cousin who committed suicide and stuff, but you know, these are people you see at Christmas and Thanksgiving, and you know from a child you're growing up, but someone you were very close with, you know, when they pass, it's, you know, it just makes you look back at life and be thankful for everything you have and appreciate and love the people you're around. It was just, he would light up a room. You'd walk in there, he'd light this whole room up. He was just, you know, someone who was vibrant and lived life and brought a smile to everyone's face, no matter who you were. And it was like, you know, people used to tell me, you can't have a little guy in your group like that. Like, you know, it's going to be a novelty. It's going to overshadow the music. You know, I was very fortunate to have him in the group, and, you know, I wouldn't trade it for the world.